just you get to choose. Right? Like here's the scenario. The environment gives us something which can be perceived as negative, can be perceived as not working, can be perceived as problematic. The world's ending. So we get to choose to see it like that, or we get to choose to see it as an opportunity.
So clearly that it's my responsibility now to do that for other people. If I have information and, other people's success is my success and vice versa.
Because you know what? Like, the challenges or the roadblocks are the journey themselves.
There's no big things. It's all little things compounding on top of each other.
Welcome to another episode of the PAC Podcast. We have a guest today. I'm excited to introduce Anthony Sanrocco, who is the co-founder and commissioner of the National Ball Hockey League, or the NBHL. He's an operating room nurse at Penn and was a travel nurse for a few years out in the West Coast. He's become a friend of mine and is a mainstay and a pillar in the ball hockey world, which is something that I've become very passionate about. So excited to welcome Anthony Sanrocco to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. It's cool to be on here. A little distracted by Josh's flow he's got going on right now. It's beautiful, but I'm excited to be here. This is cool.
You shake your head, coach, and I feel like my room just rocks. Like it's like a wind flowing through the house. What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know what this is. It just keeps going, though. I don't want to cut it. There's so much work involved at this point of not cutting it. I don't want to start over again. So just keep it going. Anthony, I would love to know. Well, I know a lot of the story. I want you to be able to share with our listeners and viewers the story of NBHL, the National Ball Hockey League. It's so cool. We have such a group here in Charlotte that looks forward to this every year, every season. Of course, we have some magic in our past that maybe we can hit upon, but just give like an overview of what it is first, and then I'd like to get into a little bit of the league creation, because I think that story is so interesting as well.
So the National Ball Hockey League, we're entering our fourth season. It's an amateur ball hockey league, scales the entire U.S., North America at this point. We've got players from, I think, 35 states and provinces. And basically it's a 5-month-long season that is split up into divisions that are based on their location. And then those divisions are split into tiers based on skill level. So we have, in our open tiers, we have tier 1, 2, and 3. And then in our women's tier, we have just our women's tier and then the women's elite, which is a new thing we're doing this season with the top women's players in the country. And the way the season works is right now we're in the off season. All the teams are forming. We're getting logos, jerseys, rosters, numbers, all that stuff. Schedules are getting finalized, and then once we hit April, the season will start. April 7th will be the first day of games this year. Season will run until, depending on division and format, it'll run till late June, mid-July-ish, and then playoffs will start mid-July into early August, and the divisions will crown champions, and all the champions will meet for our NBHL Championships tournament. That'll be split across 2 weekends this year for the first time. We'll have the first weekend in Buffalo with our Tier 1 and Women's Elite divisions, and our second weekend in South Jersey with our Tier 2, 3, and Women's divisions. And basically, we're getting a 10-game season. Certain teams qualify for the NBHL Championships after the playoffs. And then there's this weekend-long tournament. You get 3 prelim games, and you get playoffs, and you determine the champions. So this will be our fourth year of that. And I guess the full story of the NBHL will go back to 2015. There was a little rink in South Jersey, and it's, small, kind of beat-up concrete surface. And me and my 2 buddies, Pat Janis and TJ Janis, we're shooting around the rink one day, and we were like, we should run a league here. Like, why not? And we made a couple phone calls, figured out some insurance stuff, and within like a month or two, I want to say, we had a 4-on-4 league with 10 teams, just based of our high school buddies, hockey friends, people we've known for, forever. And it went great. We had a website, we kept track of stats, and we just tried to keep it like as professional feeling as we could as a bunch of, young kids in our early 20s. And we grew it year after year. And what we kept seeing was more players were coming in from further away and higher skilled players were coming in from further away. So as the years went on, 2016, 2017, 2018, the amount of players fluctuated, but the amount of skill went up significantly year after year after year. And by the time we got to 2018, the league was just composed of, some junior national team players, some men's national team players. Like, the skill level was great. And we're still on this little 4-on-4 rink, and we decided, what are we doing with this? Like, are we going to take the next step? And I made an outline for how I think a national ball hockey league would work. I presented it to, at this point, Pat Janis was no longer involved with the league. TJ was, and my brother Gianni had taken Pat's place. So I said, look, we could try to take this to the next level. Let's take this to the rinks down the street, which is in Marlton in South Jersey. They had just built this, not built, but they had updated the complex that had been there for decades that I grew up playing at. They put this new surface on that's called deck. It's like a plastic tile with like squares, and it lets the ball play almost like a puck. It's just like the preferred surface for ball hockey players. And they just put the surface in, so we're like, let's move our league over there, make it 5-on-5, try to get some sponsorships, promote the hell out of it, and see what we can turn this into. And we did that. We brought it to that rink, and we got, basically the top. We had 10 teams. We probably had the top, 200-ish players of the South Jersey area. Probably less than that. That's overestimating. But we had all the best players in South Jersey were basically playing in this league at this point. And what we did was we decided, let's do video, let's do highlights of every game, let's do graphics, let's do social media, let's really make this feel professional. And I had a condo at the time, so we turned my guest bedroom into our office, and me, G, and TJ would meet up every Tuesday. We'd work an 8 to 10 hour day, and we would edit graphics, edit videos, we did condensed games, we did highlights, we did top plays of the week, and then we released on social media throughout the week. And our goal was just to kind of get noticed by somebody. We weren't really sure where we were going to go with it. But we just knew that we can do this here. We can make this awesome, but we know we could take this everywhere else if the right person finds us. And that's when Corey Hirsch came in with USA Ball Hockey. He said, who are you guys? What are you doing? And I'm like, hey, we've played ball hockey our whole lives. We just wanted to take this to the next level, really. And thanks to USA Ball Hockey and their connections, they were able to get us in touch with people all over the country. And we had a Zoom meeting in, I guess it was October. It was October or November of 2019. And I pitched to basically 10 to 12 rink leaders across the country this NBHL. We had a PowerPoint presentation that my buddy Mike made for me. And we had 5 areas that we're in. We had Chicago, we had DC, we had Jersey, Pittsburgh, and Massachusetts. And we had 38 teams ready to go, and then the pandemic hit. So we had to cancel that first season that would have started in 2020, but we just kept rolling. And by the time 2021 came around, we'd expanded 12 divisions. We had 76 teams, and we started. And we've been growing year after year now, and this is, going into the 2024 season. This is our 4th year. We'll eclipse 200 teams this year, which we're really excited about. And, ready to get going in a little less than 6 weeks, I think. Yeah, it's pretty soon.
Wow. And there's so much there. Thank you for sharing all that. There's definitely some coaching principles that I want to hit home upon that I think are prevalent here. For example, when you first started this thing, there probably wasn't a vision to hey, we could do this nationally. It was more it developed out of a passion and a fun thing of we could do this locally here. Let's see how big we can grow it and see what happens. Do I have that right?
Yeah. There's no national goal when we first started our EBHL.
Yeah.
Well, the EBHL is what the 2015 league was called. It was just it was a beer league. We were young, everybody was showing up hungover. It was hot. There was no lights. So it's the sun's blaring down. We were just having fun, and it just naturally became more serious. So then we became more serious, and it just kind of turned into what it is now. So yeah, it's really what I'd say to people all the time now is just like a passion, like fun thing that turned into something much bigger.
It's something that I promote for myself and my business, but also the clients I work with to make fun. And we've talked about that a number of times on the podcast here of inserting fun into what you do, because that's where the magic happens. Like if you can, there's the old adage, and we love quips and phrases on the show of, love what you do and never work a day in your life. Like that's pretty much what's happening here right now. There's certainly work involved, and there's a lot. I know there's some stresses that you're dealing with running something like this, but to throw yourself fully into, like, while you're doing other things, right? You got a full-time job, but you're coordinating these things and you're just having fun with your buddies and your brother, like putting these things together. And then like your love of it makes, like, it attracts other people. That's what I notice about when I do it. Like when I love something, people who also love it come too. And like, that's how it grows, because then like, it's just expansive at that point. So I'm just making that observation. I think it's so cool that, it seems like it was fragmented across the country, right? And then all of a sudden this opportunity comes up with like, hey, this is a success here. We're organized. We're doing it the right way. Like people love watching themselves on highlights and clips, right? So like the formula here, we could scale this. And maybe that's the next coaching principle I'd like to ask about. Like maybe describe your staff and your commitment and your responsibility in year number one, or maybe even leading up to year number one, and then where you sit today and what that scene looks like here.
Year one, it was myself, my brother Gianni, TJ Janis, and then Matt Strybeck came on, and we really like handled everything. We did all the graphics.
4 people, right? How many divisions and teams at this point?
Yeah, so it was 4 of us for 12 divisions and 76 teams. So it was a lot. It was very overwhelming. But yeah, we handled all the day-to-day. Everything was just, my phone is probably, it's busy in a different way now. Like back then, every captain, every team, every director like was contacting me, but now there's kind of like a chain of command. So I get a little bit less text now, which is nice to an extent, but I still get a lot, which again, I don't mind it. Like I want to talk about this more than anything. So like if people text me about it, I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. But so to get to this year now, like we've grown little by little. Like year 2, we had we brought on like 3 or 4 people. Last year we grew a lot, where we had stat checkers, we had video editors, and like these are all roles that we've had in the past. But like year 1, we edited all the video. Like now we have a team of like 10 to 15 video editors that work for us on a weekly basis. Wow. And we're actually in the process right now of doing interviews with a bunch of interns. We'll probably have a team of like 10 to 12 interns working here. We just moved into this office space that I'm in right now. We've never had an office. I've been working in Starbucks and my kitchen tables and my guest bedrooms, wherever we could find Wi-Fi, basically. So this year, on a weekly basis, there will probably be around 45 people to 50 people on the NBHL side working on a weekly basis. And that's not including the division directors who run everything at the local level. The team captains, the officials, like this is just strictly video editors, stat checkers, social media coordinators, live stream people, like all of those. So we have, we think it's crazy. We have like departments now and stuff. Like it's really, we've had to learn how to run a business on the fly, but we're here and we're learning every day. We got a lot of awesome people that give us some guidance on stuff. And this intern thing we're really excited for this year to have, a lot of just, people on staff that know what they're doing. It's going to be fun. But yeah, a lot of growth in that aspect. It's been crazy.
That's awesome. So just so cool to see it from my vantage point of just my limited perspective of a couple of years of knowing you, but to get this whole story is cool. I want to bring Coach Nick in on the conversation, because I will take this whole conversation and run with it and make it a two-person conversation. So Coach Nick, somebody who's not as involved or not involved at all as I am in the ball hockey world, just like to get your observation and just hear what you might want to share or ask Anthony.
Super cool story, Anthony. As Coach said, there's plenty of coaching principles here and concepts, and it's like, I don't know how many times I need to hear it to keep getting smacked over the head with it, but it's just do something you like to do or love to do and be consistent with it, keep doing it, and things pop up and they grow, right? Like you couldn't conceive of that path, like maybe some of it, but like not all of it. And you never know where it's going to really go. But you keep doing the thing you like. You know, the word I wrote down was leaps. It's the things where it becomes this little thing in Jersey and then it's like a national thing. It's just like, it's not just one state at a time necessarily or one town at a time. It's like there's things that happen which change the game, right? That connective tissue. I think about a client of mine who has a financial services company, financial advisor, 3 or 4 people, and like some staff that help him. They keep growing where they are, like in big ways, but the way that they really make leaps is by like teaming up and collaborating, merging with another company. Suddenly now they're like much bigger, and they can say on their website we're in like 10 different cities, right? Rather than just suddenly going from 1 to 10. Like it's a wild thing. And so those leaps are so important, but you just don't know. But as coach said, like you got to love what you're doing anyway. And like, if you do that, like you've already won before you even started. And so I think it's just a beautiful representation of that. Is what really jumps out for me right now.
Yeah, I'd say that's how it feels. Like it's just passion that people have picked up, and I think it's been a cool thing to see. Like I'm from South Jersey. I played primarily in the Northeast, but just to see like even Josh, like meeting people in the Carolinas that are passionate about ball hockey and all over the country. Like the passion's everywhere. We just needed to connect everyone, and that's kind of what the goal was with this, was to give it a platform, connect everybody, and just showcase the sport as much as we can. And it's been a lot of word of mouth. It's happened naturally, and I mean a lot of work goes into it too. But we're on a mission now. We're on a mission to keep growing this, and we're loving every second of it.
Reminds me as well, here in Charlotte, they have the Charlotte Bourbon Society, and the guy that started it because he had some health issues in his family, and he knew someone that was in the bourbon industry, and he wanted to have a charity dinner to raise money for heart health. And he said, I've got someone here, he can help sponsor it. We can have this thing. And we're 7 years into this, and they do this big dinner every year, and then they got this 4,000 people in Charlotte that want to get involved with bourbon and whiskey, and it's like it came from the fact they did it from that reason, and now they have a platform to go and jump off to the next place, right? And so it's that same concept that it's just I did it, I'm going to do it anyway, right? And then, but there's hardships along the way, right? And so I'd love to hear if you would be if you're able to share this, Anthony. What have been some of the times where it's not been great? Has there been any times where you're like, screw it, I'm not doing this anymore, we're giving up? Or was there any like big bumps in a road? What would you share there?
There's never been a bump big enough that made me not want to do this anymore. But there's always bumps. I mean, there's little stuff, just like communication barriers, people not, hearing us or seeing things, or us not communicating things properly to people, where things just get lost and things don't get done because of that. There's on-rink incidents. We had a huge blow up last year in one of our divisions. Josh, I'm sure you probably saw. You and I spoke about it in one of our divisions that led to a game being replayed, and it was that was probably one of the more stressful times of the NBHL for me. I think I had my phone on Do Not Disturb for like 4 straight days. So I was just like, I don't need these comments. I still have never gone back and read a lot of them. I've had a lot sent to me. I've been told a lot of them. I've skimmed a few, but I haven't really thoroughly read them because it was just a lot of negative energy that I think would have just discouraged me more, because I'm not totally happy with how that whole situation went down, but it's just one of those things. It is what it is. It was a learning moment, and we're working towards, having a better approach for things like that next year. So, on the rink stuff, off the rink stuff. And I mean, we've suspended over 200 people in the 3 seasons we've had. And it's never easy. Like, we don't want to tell people they can't play in this league. Like, if people sign up, they pay us, like they want to be a part of it. But part of being in a league is abiding by the rules, and sometimes people break them. And we've had to suspend people. There's been some very tough conversations. I've been called a lot of names. I've been called a lot of things, been heard people saying a lot of things about the league, and I don't take it personally. It is what it is. It's just business, honestly. It's just what we have to do. So you just learn to roll with it. You just learn that it's this is the life that we have now given ourselves doing this league. Like, we have to deal with the negatives that come with it, but it doesn't outweigh the positives and the good things that come with when it all comes together at our championships and we see teams win it. Like, that's makes it all worth it. But there's always little bumps in the road.
Some key stuff I think you said there, Anthony, is like you protecting yourself from a bunch of those comments, right? Keep your phone on do not disturb. And that's so important, right? Because it's easy to go down that road and just like, oh, it's the worst. There's a rabbit hole. You go down a rabbit hole that you don't want. All you're going to get is more rabbit hole you don't want. But if you can protect yourself, what I wrote down there was in capital letters was high standards. You're observing it and going like, these things are going to happen. Like best study of life is what's real. You're scaling anything, you change the dynamics, because even if people that are around you love it, if you've got something that really attracts people, it's also going to really repel people. That's what a magnet does. And so by protecting yourself from the other side, man, that's allows you to take that same level, that higher level, so you can keep going. So you're not like attacked. You protect yourself from those attacks, as it were, because it isn't personal, but it can feel like that.
Yeah,
it's really a different standard that you're playing with, right? Because same thing with you can't just like it's all right, we'll let him off. It's like the rules. There's a reason why we're doing it, right? We've got to play in that higher standard. So that's cool, man. And that's probably sounds like something that's how it is for you. And I'm sure that you've built that up through the way, but that's also not that common, right? And it's like the testament to allow you to keep going through all those bumps, right? Because as you said, there's always going to be them, but being able to keep playing, keep going through them, it's hard to beat someone who doesn't stop. Yeah, man, that's really cool to hear, because that certainly shows up so often. What do you see on that, Coach? Like that's so key for clients that continue to be successful, right?
Yeah, I think of the ball hockey analogy. So difficult to beat somebody who doesn't stop. Like, it's definitely the case out there too. But yeah, I thought that the magnet analogy was really interesting. Like, people love it. There's going to be a repelling energy, like almost equal and opposite the other direction. I feel like, Anthony, did you want to share something, or I felt like you went to speak when he said that, but I wonder what your reflections are on that.
No, I was just going to say, we learned the honeymoon phase of the NBHL is over. We are an established product now. Everybody has an opinion, which is wonderful because they help us shape the league. But not all of them are good opinions either. Some people say things that are absolutely insane, and we're like, how could you possibly rationalize that thought? But they say it to us and they broadcast it on social media, and we just, we take it. So, I saw a meme on Facebook just by chance from somebody I'm friends with on Facebook, making fun of the NBHL 2 hours ago. And I'm at a point now where I saw it and I actually I laughed. It was funny, but it's also making fun of us a little bit too. And it's just interesting seeing people who just all over the place that have an opinion on us. And it's a good thing, but it also can be a tiring thing at times too.
I'll just say this: I don't have one bad thing I can think of saying about you or the league, and maybe that's because of my experience also running our local league. So I kind of chalk it up to that too, right? I almost guarantee, I put some money on it, that whoever has an opinion maybe hasn't been in your shoes or anything similar in any way, shape, or form of what it takes to do that. I think it just offers such a completely new and different perspective once you've sat in that seat. So. That's interesting. It's interesting that you're sharing that. And then, as somebody who, I know you as a person who loves to connect with other people, could certainly see how challenging that would be. And I would just love your answer about how you're dealing with that and how how you make do with these bumps as you move forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've learned that, I guess when I started this, I just wanted, everybody to be happy all the time, everybody to be, just playing hockey, enjoying themselves. And I've learned, it's not realistic. People are going to be upset. It's an emotional game. It's a sport. People are going to lose and be unhappy that they lost and be unhappy for reasons that they lost. And it comes back on us. It comes back on me personally sometimes. Like you just learn that there are people who aren't going to like the league. There are people who are not going to like you personally. And you just have to, what I always sit with is when I make a decision, I try to remove every bias I possibly can. I try to talk to the right people. And I always try to do what I think is the best for the league. People think we've been accused of hating teams, of favoring teams, and we wouldn't be here if we were favoring people. Like, that doesn't help us. Like, there's no reason for us to benefit any team over another team. And I get accused often of being on both sides of that spectrum. And in reality, it's always just what is the best for the league, what is going to be best for us long term, and what is going to help us grow. And that's how we make every decision. Although it doesn't feel that way to people sometimes.
Yeah.
But we try.
Well, it's a testament to what I was mentioning about, like, what goes on behind the scenes. People have no idea, right? So I think it's good for them, good for you to share, and for them to get that insight of, like, I do it. This is how I do it. This is my process. I try to look at the situation holistically, find my reference people and people that I want to hear their opinions, and then I remove my bias and make the best decision. And like, I think you nailed it. You're never going to keep everybody happy. So it's just coming to, like, that's how you find your peace, is like knowing your process is the best way to do it. And then accepting whatever comes after that. That's all you can do. And just having been, watching that situation with Mass Tier 2 last year, I do have a question about it though, if I may.
Go ahead.
Well, you just said you learned a lot. I would love to know what was like the number one thing that you learned from that experience, because I felt like, this is my perspective. I just want to share this real quick. There's a situation you didn't have any control over what happened in the game or how it was handled. You, like you mentioned, probably, checked in with a couple people and you made a decision. And then, like, it felt like different things happened after that. But I would just love to know, as you reflect back on that, what you learned from that situation.
I learned that sometimes that there are situations where you're going to lose no matter what. Like, there's just, no matter what we decided, no matter what way we went, no matter way, went to different committees and USA Ball Hockey, they decided things too. Like, no matter where that went, there was going to be negative feedback and people were going to be upset with it. And it was, it was a little painful. Like, it kind of hurt. But quite honestly, that was like I said, that was probably the worst situation I've had to deal with in this league so far. And I look back at it now and, like, yeah, it sucked. Like, I hated that whole thing. But, like, if that's the biggest negative of this league, then I still absolutely love it. Like, but I mean, I learned that you're not going to please everybody. I've learned that a lot throughout the years. Like, I continually relearn that, like, every day. But that was a big reinforcer of that. And, again, it's, you gotta go with, you can't change rules. Like, once rules are established, like, people always want me to bend rules for them. People are like, hey, why can't we get like this or this or this? But it's one of those things that we learned back in our 2015 league with our friends. Like, we would give leeway to our friends with stuff. Just be like, yeah, whatever. Well, you guys can figure it out later. We'll, bend the rules a little bit here and there. Then once you let one team do something, then the next team's like, well, why can't I get this? And the next team's like, well, if they got that, I want this. So, like, in that situation, we went by our rule book, whether people agreed or disagreed with the rule book. It's how it was written. We couldn't go against it. We can evaluate it this offseason and change it for next year. But at that point of the season, we're in, I think it was July. Like, the season is almost over. We have to do the things we've established. So, and, it was tough to do, but I'm proud of ourselves that we were able to do that. And again, whether you agree or disagree with the decision, we did handle it according to our rule book, which is tough to do sometimes because, I'm friends with a lot of people in this league, and I want my friends to be happy. They're people I care about, but at the same time, the league has to come first. And yeah, that was an interesting one. Mm-hmm. It's fun, but yeah, learned a lot from it.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I was just curious. I'd like to pick up on a thread and start to transition into MindScan here. You said earlier, like we're not what we used to be. The honeymoon phase is over. We're on a mission, I think were your words. I would love for you to maybe paint the picture. Where's NVHL going? What do you see? You got this team behind you. It's grown so immensely. Any thoughts of it? Like having bumps that would affect it majorly, I think are over it. So I'd just love to know where's it headed? What does success look like here?
Well, our league format, it's not perfect, but I think we're in a spot where it's proven itself that it works. People are happy with it. The results, the championships have all been great. So from a league perspective, we're happy with it. We obviously make changes year after year, but we need to grow in a business standpoint. In order to grow the business, like the league has reached a really good point, but now we need to grow the business to continue to grow the league. Because a lot of people in the league are people that played ball hockey before, and we need to attract new audiences. And we're really trying to make a push in the media world this year. Social media, TikTok, like Instagram Reels. We want to have a lot of that. We did that last year. But the thing that we really think will take us to the next level is live games and streaming. And we've had that in the past, but we haven't had it consistently. And typically our live streams have been on a Saturday or a Sunday when, a lot of the audience is playing, like our games are on weekends. So if we have a live stream on a Sunday afternoon, a lot of the people that would be interested in watching that live stream are playing, so they can't watch that live stream.
Yeah.
So we've gotten good numbers, but not anything like, through the roof, groundbreaking that we'd like to have. So what we've been doing this off season is we've been working with, player Will Tucker. He was on the Seattle Cold Snacks. He did some stuff with arena football leagues and with video, with live streams. And we've been, since I guess September, October, we've been buying camera equipment and all of these different things that are way above my understanding. And we're going to have this new segment this year called Monday Night Ball Hockey. And we're going to isolate Tier 1 games on Monday nights. We're going to send this camera system to them. And then the reason we got this office space is so we have like a war room essentially to run this live stream. So we're going to do the graphics, the instant replays, all of that sort of stuff. And the goal of this is, one, to showcase our Tier 1, which is our highest level of skill. We'll also use it for Women's Elite. Like Women's Elite games will get this live stream as well. And we want to showcase the highest level of talent is what people are going to want to see. 2, it'll be on Monday nights, so there will be conflicts with games. Nobody's playing on Monday besides these Tier 1 games, so the whole league has the opportunity to watch it. And 3, it's going to be every week, so it'll be consistent. It'll allow new people who are like, oh, this was cool. When's this going to happen again? And instead of us having the April to July gap we had last year, it's like, oh, you can just tune in next Monday. You're going to see other Tier 1 teams play. So the goal is with that is to build up an audience, an organic audience of people that are not familiar with ball hockey. We're partnering with a streaming company right now. I'm not going to say who they are yet. It's a smaller one, but they'll be hosting our games, and we'll have a wider audience because of that platform, and we'll have hopefully new fans that come in. And with new fans becomes new players and new people who are interested. So the goal is to really grow in that media realm and just get more eyes on the league. That's kind of the goal for this year. One of many, but that's the main focus right now, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. And what will that give you the ability to do? I'm just, if that's maybe the short-term goal, say that's accomplished, what's the moment in the future that, is it like number of viewers, number of people who watch the stream? Is it number of new audience members? Is it once there is all that, then the league can grow even more? Like, how will you know, like what is the actual success? Like the moment, milestone?
A good measure of success for us is once we hit the off season and we have all the new teams reaching out to us. But I think once we social media followers are a big indicator. Views on social media, like that type of stuff will really kind of show us if our numbers are up. Because we've seen our average views for video has gone up every single year. So we're hoping to see that trend continue, obviously. But more viewers, and then our live streams, our tier 1 championship last year at the Milec Cup peaked at like somewhere in the 700s in viewers, which was like at like one moment there was 700. Like throughout the entire game, it was like thousands of people tuned in. But that was the highest we've seen. So like we keep seeing like year after year after year, that number has gone up. But all of this has been pretty like, I think I said earlier, like word of mouth. Like it hasn't, like we haven't really ever paid for advertising. We haven't done anything like that. So the goal is to get in front of a bigger audience with these more consistent streams, and it'll lead to, you know, those higher numbers. We want to see higher numbers. It can lead to more sponsorships, which is going to benefit the players and allow us to do more things that will make the league better. Like this live stream thing, this Monday Night Ball Hockey that is happening because we have sponsors this year that are going to be a big part of that and make that possible for us. And, you know, I've had people complain about like, you know, like last year we had an energy drink as one of our league sponsors, and people were like, why are we not getting these at our rinks every single week? And I'm like, just because it's not in your hand, it doesn't mean you're not getting a benefit from it. Like we're doing other things with the sponsorship that is directing you, like that's helping you indirectly, but it's making the league better. And it's all, yeah, it's really just, we really want to get more eyes on the league because, I mean, I'm a little biased, but I love it. And I think everybody in the league loves it. And I feel like I've introduced this to so many people and they have also loved it, that we feel that if more people see it, more people want to get involved. So it's really just a numbers game, getting more views, leading to more players, leading to more fans, leading to more people coming out to games, leading to, you know, more sponsorships, allowing us to just do more with the league and grow it year after year. So I can't say there's like a direct, like this is what we need to see, but it's like the collection of all of it will kind of show us that we're moving in the right direction.
That's awesome. All right, I'm going to start to share screen. I do want to ask one question as we start to transition and throw your MindScan results up here on the screen. And I'll have Coach Nick kind of take over too and share his observations. But any barriers? What's the biggest barrier? What's the biggest threat to that growth?
I think it's if we're unable to remain consistent. I think that's the thing that has, you know, it's year after year, you get the same league structure, the same time of year, the same graphics posted on social media. Like people have an expectation and we need to grow. Like the expectation gets higher every year, but we need to keep beating the expectation for us. And, you know, being consistent with the live streams, the graphics, the new content we want to put out, like we have to continue with that year after year and make that better every year. So it falls back on us. We just have to be consistent, and we believe that everything else will follow.
Sure. Love it. All right, let's jump into MindScan here. You got your results shared on the screen here. I'm about to maybe offer Coach Dick the first observation of what he sees, having conversed now for a bit, and what the results are here.
Yeah, awesome. And always worth just referring everyone back to our MindScan episode, Coach, which is episode number
174.
Yes.
Got it.
Thought I had it right. For a full description of what the MindScan is. And there's three areas here that we're looking at, like those three in the middle, related to a thinker, and three primary patterns. And we can look at that externally and internally. So it gives us 6 ways that we can measure. So the three areas are relator, which is people, doer, which is action, innovation, thinker, which is structure and process. And super intriguing, Anthony, to look at this first off the bat, because just the external, those top three here, all the same level of clarity. So all very good clarity, which is kind of like upper middle in terms of how zoomed out you are in each of these different areas. And so those things kind of are a wash in some senses, but certainly distinctions to make. And then in terms of the biases, like for the empathy and the practical thinking, you're pretty much bang in the middle. It's basically they're the same, which is super rare to see, right? So it's gives you a lot of agility, Anthony, to go between those two areas. So top left, first of all, empathy is how you feel about others. So super extreme +10, someone who's people person would go the nth degree for people, probably go extra and give people too many chances and maybe seen as a bit of a walkover sometimes, like doing too much. And then the opposite side of that -10, someone who takes a very long time to trust, but when they do, they're very, very loyal. Right? And so you've got this middle ground that you can play with, where you can see both sides of that. And
That's cool.
that is very cool, right? So you can go wherever you want to get to. And the potential downside of that is that you see both sides equally. So it's more challenging to make a decision about where you stand with someone. And then because you've got the practical thinking is basically the same in terms of that balance. So someone who's very high practical, sees a lot of opportunity, takes a lot of action, gets a lot of results, but sometimes puts themselves too much out there and takes on too much risk. The opposite side of that is someone that doesn't take much action, doesn't take much results, and therefore kind of misses out on some things, but therefore like it plays it safe. And so again, you've got the same balance here, which is also very cool. So you can go wherever you want to, but because you kind of put both in the middle there, it's kind of dealer's choice. Choose your own adventure as to which one shows up in which situation. But there's a lot just in those two. So let me pause, get your thoughts on that, Anthony.
That's cool. Honestly, I just said it, but like I don't know. Like I feel like I am like that's a skill set of mine that I'm able to look at things through the lens that needs to be looked at. And I don't know, I guess that's reassuring that I guess I have some level of that skill set. Right? Am I understanding that right?
That flexibility as a leader, we talked about some of those standards earlier, and I think that really shows up there, right? Because you can go, okay, what do I need to do here? Is there an action I need to take? I got to think about it from the league's perspective. What's the overall? What's the greater good? And then on the right hand side, that structured thinking is about structure and process, and you're going to tend to err towards the lower end of that, which is more flexibility. Like I get the point of having all things in order. We need to have a structure, but you're not going to be ruled by it. So you've got that flexibility to go, okay, do I want to take some action, or is it people first? And that's what's very cool and really showed up in what you've shared today, right? You can go wherever you need to in terms of action and people, and then you will let the structure be what it needs to be in order to support that, but it won't let you won't let it hold you back.
Yeah, that makes sense because like even the way we structure our divisions, like we have like a guideline for how each division is supposed to run, but each one is run completely different just based on the landscape, the leadership. It's all different, so we have to be flexible for it to work. But yeah, that's interesting. That makes sense.
I happen to Anthony's our first guest who alongside the Mindscan has taken it a second time. So this is actually his second results. So last time he took it, I'm pretty sure, Anthony, it was December of 2022. Does that sound right? It's like at the end of the year, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And what I remember about that one is that that relator, that empathy one, was higher. So I think that's an interesting pattern, like out of necessity. Like, it's about the people. It's maybe a more intimate group at that time. It was just 2 years in. It was not that it's not about the people now, but I think some of your comments about it, it's business now, right? Like it's growing, and that is so key to see here. That's the purpose of showing these results and showing how they change over time. It's not that you don't care about people. It's that, like what I think Nick nailed it, like you have the flexibility now, whereas you were near that top. You maybe didn't like those tough conversations or to disappoint people or to have to make those tough decisions. Now you just kind of see it, from my observation at least, is just part of the role. It's just like you're doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah, just took some getting used to. I mean, I'm still not used to it. I still struggle with it, but I think my anxiety level is down going into those conversations compared to the first year. If you had a suspension conversation with me the first year, I promise you my heart rate was like a 140 prior to us hopping in that Zoom call. I think it's down a little bit now. It's still up, but it's not what it was.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great point, because you've made the observations that you have to think of it like business. It's not personal. And those adjustments that you made, Anthony, allows you to keep having those conversations, because you can make yourself do it and your heart rate's now super high up. If you keep giving that stress to yourself, there's a point where your body goes, get me out of this. It's too much. Right? But you made the adjustment because it's a choice to get to make. By saying, okay, hang on, I'm going to remove some of this pressure I'm putting on myself such that I can deliver value by having these difficult conversations, because that's what makes. So my brother owns a couple of coffee shops in London, and the new location's got this new thing delivered and sent us a video. It was really cool last week. And one of the things he wants to do is expand his offerings. Like he might have be able to sell alcohol from this, and it's like something that's going to make a difference. And he's like, oh, I've got to apply for this permit and it costs £700. So, I said, good. good, right? Because now, like it makes it's more valuable. Because if anyone could get it, like there's no hoops to jump through. More people would get it, and it wouldn't be as valuable. So it's good that there's barriers in front. That means it's like all you got to do is follow through to get the result. And so what you've done is the same thing here. Is like you've created the way of like this, so it's sustainable for you, right? But also made more value for what you've developed because the standard's higher. Like you have to play by the rules to get in, right? And that's super cool, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I want to dip down below into the internal. There's some cool stuff going on. So first of all, I love what I'm seeing with the role awareness. So this is the one that you're leading with. It's the one that's nearest to the top, right? The 10 out of 10, something you're paying attention to. This is the roles that you play. So how much you're tapping into your gifts and abilities, who you are, how you identify yourself with what you do. And it just tells me that you have, like, you place a priority on making sure that you're doing those things. So just think of the team that you've built around you. Great, because they're that's their expertise and their specialty, and they can do what they do. But B, it takes that off your plate, so you can focus on blank, right? And maybe I ask you, like, what is that? What do you see as your role as the commissioner? Like, yes, you run all the leagues or you oversee like the divisions, but like, what is that role for you? How do you see it?
I mean, it's facilitating and communicating are like the main two things that are my day to day. It's just making sure people, answering questions, making sure people are meeting deadlines, making sure the people in authority positions are enforcing things that they need to enforce. And then now it'll become, as we grow into this new role, this new situation with interns and people working for us, it's doing the same thing with them. It's kind of just a smaller version of the NBHL just within our office now, where we have to, make sure they're doing the right things, communicating the right things to the right people, meeting deadlines and getting things in. So I'd say that's amongst, there's a bunch of little things that go into a day to day, but that's the main two, is just making sure everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing and is telling the right people they're doing it. Like, I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess that's most of it.
Yeah, I could see, and you're good at that. Like I've observed that. I'd also like to maybe tack on to that about what in your role that you're experiencing now that you really, really love to do that maybe wasn't even there when you first started, or even a couple of years ago. Like what's your favorite part of the role?
My favorite part of the role, like for me personally, or like just
for you?
I don't know. I get the most satisfaction. Well, I won't say the most, but one of the most satisfying things for me is when we create ball hockey teams and people that want to be a part of this league in an area that I would have never guessed it. And like people like Indiana last year, getting Indiana, I didn't know they even had ball hockey. And they reached out to us and they're like, we want to be in it. I'm like, let's do it. Like, this is awesome. And then like this year, like we added a division in Georgia. Like Georgia doesn't really, to my knowledge, they have one ball hockey league and then a couple pickup games that happen on a weekly basis, but there isn't like a ton there. But we were able to, talk to those players and explain what this league is and get them interested. And we've got 4 teams, we've got, 80 players, and there's a couple areas that didn't buy in the first year that we're hoping that we prove ourselves this year and they hop in next year. So seeing those little unexpected growths, I think, is one of the most rewarding things for me, because for us to, my lens of this league, it's like, sometimes I'm like, this is a huge national organization with, 40 plus people working for us and division directors and 4,000 players. And then I'm like, this is just me and like a couple of my friends in a group chat. Like so it's always like so rewarding for people to want to join this league. And I don't know, those little growths, I think, are one of the cooler things. I mean, there's a lot I love about this job, but just off the top of my head, that's the first one that came to mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen that just fractionally too. So I'm sure there's so much more that you're doing behind the scenes. You and I talked at Chicklets Cup about expansion in like Canada and some of those things. Like that's what, from my observation, I see you being really good at is like an ambassador for the sport. Not only the sport, like you're talking to people who might be in their silo or like happy where they are, but like to not sell them, but like to show them what this world is and how maybe even their participation can benefit what they're doing. Like that's such a strength of yours. You're a people person and you're a connector. And you've already done it, so big so far. And I can see why you would answer it that way. Like, just these little pockets that pop up out of nowhere of like, oh, that's so cool. It's rewarding to be able to give people in a, maybe non-ball hockey related or identified area the experience to, have this NBHL experience is super cool. So.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it's I don't know, just seeing just like social media posts and like the new team names and people like putting like in their like Instagram bio, like National Ball Hockey League player. I'm like, damn, like that's sick. Like that's really cool. So, yeah, seeing people love it makes me love it more.
Love it. One thing I'd like to do, Coach Nick can hold me accountable to this. There's typically, I think we're coming to that part of the year, a logo, like vote off. Is that right? Like almost like a March Madness type of thing. I want to share that with our followers and just, maybe that's a way we can expand the NBHL community too. So we'll put that in our newsletter and like share links where people can vote for their favorite logos. I think that's super cool. When does that come up, Anthony?
We usually do that around like mid-March. Like right now, we just started the process of doing our division like previews of like all the new teams that are in the league, and we posted like 8 or 9. I think we've got like another 20 to 25 to go. So once those are all out, we'll start the March Madness, and it's just Instagram story, vote on who's best, and it's just like a big tournament. And let's see who's won. So the first year, I hated this. The first year, my team won. And I was like, this looks terrible. It's the first thing we've ever done, like voting wise. And like, I'm the commissioner and my team wins, like me and my brother's team. Like, I just felt like I was so not happy with that. But like, I was literally like, I was out getting sushi with a couple of my buddies who were like on the team, and they were like, we got to win this. Like, they're like texting their mom to make an Instagram account and go vote. I'm like, oh my God, like guys, I don't want to win this. Like, this is not good. But like, yeah, so we were the Tortugas. Our logo is just a turtle. The second year was the Bloomfield Meatballs, which was just, as you expect, a meatball. And then last year was the Bay Area Burger Boys. So the league likes ground beef, I guess. So and I'm sure it'll be some sort of food. There's a couple new food teams this year that I'm sure will be in the running. But yeah, there's some awesome logos. So, but yeah, it'll start. Like mid-March, it'll start going.
Cool. Maybe we'll have producer Rob see if he can dig up those logos and share them in our podcast images here. We didn't even get into the 2 areas where you have the highest clarity in the mind scan, but we'll leave that to you. We're going to share that the full results with you and send it over. But there's some great strengths in there that we didn't even mention. But hopefully it was useful to you. And we always like to ask at the end, something that was useful to you, a reflection or, principle that you either already knew and was a good reminder, or, something that you're going to take away from our time together today.
Well, even after the last one, I feel like reassured on like the way I handle things through this mind scan thing. But now here's my question for you guys. Because last time everything felt very positive and I was like, damn, I'm killing it. And this time everything's positive again. So I feel like this is just trying to like blow my ego or something. Like I feel like it's just all positive stuff. Like I need some negatives on there too. I need to know what I can improve on too. Like, is that on there? Can you send, like, is that part of it too? You can send to me too? Yes,
that's a great question. So the rest of it is divided into strengths and weaknesses, or what's called like potential strengths or areas of opportunity. So you'll see that below. And you'll also see like where it says a strength, there's like warning labels with like, this is maybe such a strength for you that you might not even see it as a strength. So like lean further into it. So there's stuff like that on there too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that would be nice to read.
Anything else you would add to that, Nick? It's a good question.
Yeah, I think there's stuff that we want to kind of save back as well. Like if you want to, from sharing on the podcast, because there's a lot of people going to see this, but there's always stuff there, right? I mean, yeah, it's how you want to look at it. It's important. But I think that's also a testament to where you are, Anthony, right? Is that you're seeing that. Because some people might come and say, oh, it doesn't feel like that. Like it feels middle of the road or it feels negative. Right? It's because like, you just get a choice to see what you know, there's things that we point out because it's what we see, but then it's your choice as to how you interpret that as well. So that's also a testament. But like, you know, we want to build on successes. We want to see what opportunities are. And so it's, I'm sure there's other conversations to be had, but you know, like there's always so much more, right? And it's ultimately about what do you want to create? What do you want this thing to become? And what's your vision for what it could possibly be? And knowing how much evidence you've got for yourself of what you've created so far, it's like, man, the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see where it goes. We got no idea. Well, we got an idea where we wanted to go. We got no idea if we're going to get there, but we're confident. We're very confident.
Any predictions this season? Put you on the spot a little bit. Any predictions?
Oh, I can't do that. That would ruin me.
I knew you couldn't. I had to ask. I didn't say who's going to win. I just like, what do you think might happen this year?
I mean, I think we're going to have some pretty cool stuff go on. I'm going to be really vague here, but we're going to have a lot of things happen this year that people have probably couldn't have even thought of that are going to be different in a good way. It's just going to be, I hope this is the year where people, you know, see us as a business more than a hockey league, and they see all the things that we're really trying to do to grow this. And it's not just getting players in, like it's bigger than that. And we're really stepping into that this year. So I predict, I don't know yet, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good year.
How about that? You predict that it's going to to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Yeah. We'll keep it as boring as possible. Yeah. It's going to be fun. Just like we try to make it every year, but I don't know. Maybe I'll text you something after this, John.
All right. That sounds good. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. And, yeah, thanks for giving the insight, and super cool to have you on here. Thanks for joining Pack Podcast.
Thank you for watching another episode of Truth Seekers. We appreciate your interaction. So please comment, like, subscribe to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want more, check out some of our links. Links to our masterclass, The Achiever's Mindset, and come join our LinkedIn group. And what do you want to see more of? Remember, we're here to share the simple secrets of successful. So help us do that. What do you want to see? What do you want to see more of? Thanks, and see you again next time.